welcome to this episode of the live stream of our podcast on issues about Nigeria and Nigerians, as we urge you to say a prayer, guys. May Nigeria never happen to you. And today feels a little different, but still feels all the same, you know. As the French would say, déjà vu. I've seen this movie before. I have seen these scenarios before. I have heard about these scenarios before. I've read about these scenarios before. So, is it true or is it not true? Did some people plan a coup or did some people not plan a coup in Nigeria? Well, when we planned at the top of this whole program, when the idea for having us concerned, I was disturbed because of certain patterns that were beginning to repeat themselves. Patterns which led me about 15 years ago to respond to my son's question. Daddy, yes, what caused that mark on your forehead? I'm like, oh, okay. It is finally time for the genie to be let out of the bottle. If this guy wants to know what happens to my head, the forehead, that means he's been taking notice. It's been meaning, and knowing him, he doesn't ask questions. It takes time, and then looks at the moment to ask. And I said to him then, oh, it's a long story. He said, Daddy, I want to hear. I had been putting off, postponing, outrightly just not wanting to tell my Biafra story. Biafra? Yes. My eyewitness account as a child of about 7 years old when that war started, and about 11 years old when it, well, ended in quotes. When I keep saying ended, people say, what's your problem? But you see my problem. Isn't my problem? My problem is about the rumors and no rumors and yes and no that you have it now in Nigeria. There's a coup, there's no coup. Some people form, some people didn't form. We're coming and we get that. This is not the first time, the 10th time that Nigeria has been in this. And these guys, which guys? Sorry, it's not everybody behind me. Don't worry. I'll come to those people behind me. We'll get to talk about them. The politicians, they know you are forgetful. They know you live for the moment. And that is part of the reason we started this live stream. Myself and my team of people who work with me. And I reached out to a few friends. What do you think? Richie, come on. Look, I want Nigeria to happen to me. I don't know what's wrong with you. You think because I said to them then, guys, there's a difference between Nigeria happening to you and Nigeria happening for you. What has been happening to the rest of Nigerians is that Nigeria has been happening to Nigerians. The greater majority of Nigerians, Nigeria has been happening to them as a result of the actions and inactions of the few who have been benefiting, who you will say Nigeria has been happening for, who have been causing Nigeria to happen for them. So I decided to speak out like I always have done with this program. The events of the last 1 week or thereabouts, I've been chatting with friends. Look, the way this is what is likely going to, I don't, caveat there, I do not have any serving military officer as a friend or family. I don't. So don't understand any of the things I'm going to be saying here to mean that, oh, I'm applauding that the military should take over, and don't understand it that way. But we have to tell ourselves the truth. There is no painless way of curing cancer. Was there a coup? Or is there a coup? Is it is or was? Was there a coup? Is there a coup? What year is this? Please. And I would urge you today, please, to bring your pen and paper out, or your tablets, or bring your devices, because we are going to do some, not homework, right work. There's a quiz. You'll be put up soon now. So let's really try to have an understanding of how many Nigerians really know anything about Nigeria. Really. Which is why they made it a duty to say no history in schools for a long time, which they just tried to reverse this year. Which is why someone because of the institution, because of, those of us who respect culture, respect tradition, respect institution, at every turn, the people who occupy those institutions just make us look stupid. During my youth service in Sokoto, old Sokoto State, 1985, we visited the Sultan's palace. Coppers were valued then. We had the pleasure of, and we were well received. It was awe-inspiring. So I felt very disappointed when somebody educated, very educated, highly knowledgeable, like the present Sultan of Sokoto, His Majesty, Royal Majesty, Saad Abubakar. Now, it's not suggestive, because when he speaks, it's not just speech, it's a decision that's going on somewhere that you just come out and fly the kite and see what will happen. Suggesting that social media, including, let's understand social media to include this live stream, should be banned or, well, you say controlled. There's enough control. Enough control is that you shouldn't come and talk about things you don't know anything about that are not real. There are laws to take care of those. Yes. But for somebody in his... So it all adds to the deja vu of the moment that is not new, that I'm going to bring to your attention in the course of this program. It's all a matter of the issues around national security. What should constitute national security challenge or threats to Nigeria and Nigerian, or to any nation for that matter? So I had no choice but to, going back to my song, okay. This was around the middle of, I think actually about the end of second quarter, yeah, which around the middle of 2010, in our home in Abuja, North Central Nigeria. Then I was in my study when he walked in and said, Dad, Dad, and when he goes, Dad, I know something's coming up. What's And I promised I would tell him the story, but did more than tell him just a story. So I decided, well, to write him a letter, which turned out to be this book. You might not see it, those of you. Please, guys, can you help me put up the images of Biafra, Lest We Forget 2. That's what the one you have now. This is one. This is the one that was published 15 years ago. The other book to the other side, I'll come to it. As a reason is there. These things are not happenstances. No. But I was moved to reissue those two books this year. That's why the Biafra book is still Biafra Let You Forget 2, because it's the second edition of it. The first edition was published January 2011. I wrote that book in 2010, finished it, sent it to press, to the then publishers, Author House in the UK. But I had said something in the book. In narrating the story, I didn't think I should stop at narrating this is what happened, but I had lived long enough to have seen how things were going and like, no. So I seized the opportunity to narrated my experiences, our experiences, the family experiences, Nigeria's experiences that I witnessed as a child in the course of that civil war to my son in a book, so that his generation and those after him, how old was he then? He's a 27-year-old man now. He was about 11 then. So I had finished writing that book and I sent it. As a matter of fact, Author House had sent me pre-edited, pre-formatting for, my comments, approvals, and all that. But on the 1st of October, 2010, Nigeria's 50th day, something happened at Eagle Square. I had said in the manuscript that I sent to Author House for publishing, as I was reviewing what I have seen, how I have seen politicians behave and all of that. How old was the democracy in Nigeria in 2011 and 2010? From 1999? No, it's nascent. It's still very young, really, even now. And I said, look, these guys, politicians, if they don't have their way, or if they don't get to agree on sharing formula, because that's what it is. None of them is patriotic. Forget that. They don't care about you or about Nigeria. It's about themselves. And I'll come to that. The people you call cabal, you have to have an understanding. It's not a tribe, it's not a religion, it's a group, it's not one nation. That's the group that Fela has called Beast of No Nation. And I would explain it better to you for you on this episode, so you understand what's going on, what has been going on. A bomb blast at Eagle Square, and well, couple of other places around the city, which was unheard of at that level. And I said in that book that if these guys don't get what they want politically, if they are shuffled out, those who shuffle out will go to any length to get back in line, including inviting their friends in the military over, including terrorism. I mentioned specifically, I don't know, but that's some of the people that I've known that time. The way they reason, they don't want any form of compromise. They just don't care. It's either their ways or the highway. And that does not cut it for politics. I'm not a politician, but I know that politics is supposed to be, it's not just it shouldn't just be, it's not just a game of numbers. It's about compromise. It's about caucuses. It's about agreement or disagreement on issues. But in Nigeria, it's not issues. It's about the real McCoy, sharing Nigeria's commonwealth. So when that bomb blast happened on the 1st of October, I quickly sent an email to the House, recalled the manuscript, which is why this other book, the other book you see there is there too. The same thing happened this year, not bomb blast now. Something happened. I finished writing that book, 2 volumes, my friend Majed Fashek and I recall, before I come to this, I recall that manuscript from other House. And I had to, when you get to, the book is, Brafra Lest We Forget, it's available there online. Amazon, all of the other online bookstores. And I said, see what I was saying? If they don't get their way, they don't care what happens. Either they have it or let it scatter. And that's what happened. So I'm going to this other book before I ask them to put up the quiz. And before I now give you the answers to the quiz, I'd be happy if people get to answer this quiz correctly. I will be so glad. Because if you get the answer, you win. You get to have a signed and autographed hardbound copy of Biafra Lest We Forget, shipped to you at no cost to you. But we'll come to that. This other book, I had also finished writing it. I had also sent it for release. Before General Ibrahim Babangida's book launch, I think it was in February of this year, it delayed that second book to my friend Majek Fasheka. When that event was to happen, when I recalled the manuscript again. And I appealed, apart from maybe writing, after narrating, I looked at everybody in that hall. Everybody who was ever in Nigeria was in that hall. There was no single person outside carrying any placards, but you had so much madness online, all sorts of, and that has been your problem. You complain and grumble inside your stomachs. Not one placard outside of the venue of that book launch for either praising or demanding or drawing attention. Not one person. Not a placard. And I was like, everybody, the people that I call the troublers of Nigeria, all of them went out. The ones who created General Babangida and the ones that he created, all of them were in there, telling us the story of how they were encouraged to go to the military school and all of that. Nigerians have been made to swallow things and people who have inflicted unimaginable pains on Nigerian Nigerians, make them look heroic. It hasn't stopped. That is what brought the guy who is the Nasrok there now. Should he be there? No. By a long shot, no. It's not about his person. My thing is about Nigeria. It's not about any individual. That guy had no business being in Nasrok at all. It's not about tribe. It's not about this. It's about what he represents. And that's showing today. Should anybody be surprised the kind of people he released from jail? But again, we'll come to all of that. I record, and during General Babangida's, speech in the course of that program, he finally announced what we knew, what we had known since 1993, that MK Abiola won that election. Yeah, finally announced it. Still playing. But again, yeah, he was the only one that could have resolved the matter and since then, all those who had been using June 12 as meal tickets to the national, platform, their wings had been caught. But unfortunately, that was the event that brought the guy there now. And both of them owned up to that. When it got to the turn of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's turn because he was the last person that spoke, he said, well, but for you, I wouldn't even have been a politician. You can go and listen to the speech. Don't take my word for it. So I said, no. After I listened to them, I said, no, that was the point at which I just said, no. I sent an email, please return the manuscript, don't publish, don't release yet. And part of the things after analyzing, after talking, the books are there, they're available online. And I made two requests, please. You have said that, yes, you've learned so much from General Babangida. General Babangida, you have said more that yes, you are owned up for creating this guy. So both teacher and student, please teach yourselves one more thing. If the dream of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu was to become the president of Nigeria one day, well, you have become the president, yes. Okay, yeah. And while I'm at that, you see, regardless of what happens or what happened during electioneering, during campaign, I'm not a politician, but I always pray, let somebody who would at least have pity on the average guys on the street get there. So when they are finished with their politicking and whether it is rigged or not, by the time a name was announced or is announced, my thing was always to pray to say, Father, please touch this person to be a president of and for Nigeria. Not a tribal president, not a religion, but a president that would be for all Nigerians. That had always been my prayer. For all of them, including him. President Parliament, what everything, what do you do? The Bible teaches me, say, pray for the peace of what? Jerusalem. So pray for your leaders. So I pray once they have finished with their, however, they wangle it, and somebody, well, that's a person there. But do they behave? No, they continue in their gangsterism and forget the real issues of governance. That is why we're here today. Is it the first time? No. Is it the second time? No. Is it the third time? Maybe. I don't know. Even within the military, what caused all the coups and counter coups? It was not nationalism or nationality, it was not patriotism, it was all selfish. You are the one doing everything. Why should it be you? You don't like me. I don't like you. Personality. So, with that, before we go to talk about what is it that should constitute national security threats to any nation, well, to Nigeria right now, what are the issues? I am going to do a quiz, and I want to announce that it's probably most likely going to be a regular feature on this live stream of this program. 2 or 3 announcements at this point. One is to let you know about the quiz. Guys, please, could you put up the quiz questions for me, please? And yes, could you put up the quiz questions so that we could get that going? Okay, the quiz questions are up. And they're simple. And you should get them. You should. Yeah, I mean, very simple. Okay, and I will read out so that, you know, you need to, but let me also reiterate here, for you to engage or participate in this live stream, you need to subscribe. That's not the reason why I've set this quiz. I just thought it's something that I should do. I want everybody, every Nigerian, as a matter of fact, and every friend of Nigeria that really wants to understand what happens to ordinary people like me when there are conflicts, wars. That's why I wrote that book. And that's why I told my son that story. And that's why I'm doing this quiz, and that's why I'm doing this live stream. I started this live stream to say, look, the same reason I wrote that book, guys, please, let's behave differently. Let's not do things that would take Nigeria back to, of course, things that caused that war, jokes compared to the things that happened in Nigeria since the war. But it's just God that has kept Nigeria together. Must Nigerians continue to take that for granted? My answer to that is no. And the events of the last 1 week or so just should wake everybody up. Okay? I will come to the issue of Nnamdi Kanu too in this whole scenario. Okay? We'll get there. We're discussing the issue of insecurity in Nigeria today. So we will talk. Somebody is saying, what do you know about security? Well, I know that I'm alive. And I know that I have to remain alive. Security is the reason for which I'm where I am. This book I'm talking about is the reason for which I am where I am. I wrote this book not meaning anything, I don't have any interest in IPOB. I don't believe in the breakup of Nigeria for any reason. By birth and all of that, I am a defender of Nigeria for so many reasons. But people, after certain people came to power, the book had written years before. I wrote the book in 2010, like I said. It was published January. But by the time President Muhammadu Buhari got to office, people started calling my number. Who paid you to write that book? Who is funding what you are doing? What am I doing? Why should anybody pay anybody to tell their story? That is that woman, this woman here, up here. That's why her picture is there. And when I will come to them, when I heard her story, my heart bled. And I'm like, this is what I've been talking about. More everyday Nigerians who have been bashed up by Nigeria, who Nigeria had happened to should speak out. I could relate with this woman's story about her experiences during the Civil War. She was at the Oputa panel. I will come to that, like I said. So when I saw that story, I'm like, wow. Now, no, I can't hold back anymore. This issue of speak up, all 90-some% of those who have written books about that Civil War have been the ones who have inflicted pain on the rest of Nigerians, the soldiers, the military class, eulogizing their exploits, till showing the same rivalry, the same disdain for themselves that led to the coups and the counter coups. that led to the war itself. But was it the military that caused the war? No. Confusing, shouldn't be. We will unravel it here in this edition. Okay, so to the quiz. Guys, I didn't say you should put it down. Leave it up there. I want people to read it because they only have about 20 minutes or so to respond, because by the time I give the answers, the quiz, the timing would have been over, of course, necessarily so. So subscribe if you want to, subscribe, and then answer the questions raised in the quiz. When was the first coup in Nigeria? The year, okay? Yes. Who was the main plotter of the coup? The name of the person, okay? Yeah. What was the outcome of that coup? What happened? The outcome is outcome, result, okay? Yes, say it. If you want to write a book on it, but just make sure that the book you write is not going to go beyond 20 minutes, because in another 20 minutes, I would have to speak to the issues raised here, and then it wouldn't have been a quiz anymore. So I'll be giving the answer in 20 minutes, about thereabout. Which country was accused of aiding the coup plotters? And then the last one, how many political parties has Nigeria had since 1966? Name them. Okay, let me not give myself up by, there are not many, so name them. Mail shipped to you at no cost to you at all. The second announcement I have to make at this point is that for the same reasons I'm running this, for the same reasons I wrote that book, for the same reasons why politicians have been taking advantage, undue advantage of Nigerians, I would wish for every Nigerian to read this story. Yes. But do Nigerians read? That's the other problem. So we've been on the quest for producing this, if you like, a movie, a documentary, whatever version of this book. But all my friends, all my friends who are movie makers, nobody wants to touch it. Why? People are afraid of harassment, and for good reasons. But we'll also come to that because the double standard is just choking in Nigeria. Chimamanda Adichie wrote a fictional story around that civil war. I say double standard. One of the features, persons, and material we are featuring in this episode was also about that civil war. It was written by the guy, white hair. I'll come to talk about him. Hello, sir. Yes, sir. I admired his work so much that my first degree thesis was on one of his books, The Interpreters. Nobody, all my mates were running away from reading The Interpreters. I loved it. I love it. Let me not say in the past. I love that book. I love the language, which people are running away from, which is what. So he even inspired me to write a play, fashioned, well, out of, when I say inspire, his play, The Trials of Brother Joe. My player was Trial of Brother John. That's another story for another day. So it's not here and what I learned as I wrote that play another day. How many of you know today that Professor Inka went to jail because of that civil war? How many of you know that the reason for which he was jailed? He didn't want the war and he wanted it to end, and he said he had a solution. All he had to do. Remember, all the people who were coup plotters, or all of them were about the same age. All of them had met themselves in one school or the other. They were contemporaries. So when people are saying Igbo coup or no, we will come to that. When he said he had the message, he had a solution that could have ended the war. And the powers that be then put him in jail, that he was supporting the Biafran. He wrote a memoir in prison, out of his prison experience. Well, then the man died. We'll come to that. The man died. But why I'm bringing it up here is the issue of double standards. The issue that he himself raised in that book, Shaking the Jar, which is the title, which informed the title of this episode. Remember, you have 20 minutes to answer the question in that quiz. So your 20 minutes is gone. So please send your responses, answers in chat. Okay? Thank you. And please subscribe, even if you don't want to answer the question. Support us, support this program. Subscribe, please. It doesn't cost you money to subscribe. Support us, like the stream, invite your friends over, invite your family over. We are discussing serious issues about Nigeria and Nigerians here. No jokes, no theater. Last year, the book itself was banned by the time certain powers that be were in government. It was banned because of course, it's explosive. If you haven't read The Man Died, please go and read it. If you really want to understand what has been going on in Nigeria, you need to read. Please go and look for a copy of The Man Died. What they made it easier for you last year. And we brought you part of what we mean by they made it easier. Part of it. Of course, every episode we produce a video speaking to the issues we focus on particular episode. So we also have a video for this episode, okay, produced featuring Professor Walushenka and Abamieda himself, Fela Ransom Kuti, Beast of No Nation. Our feature work from Professor Shoyinka is The Man Died. The issue of double standard. Last year, that material, that book, a movie was produced from it. Very powerful. I encourage you, well, you know, you won't read the book, but you are used to watching movies on TikTok and Netflix and all that. So they produce a movie out of it for you. Why wasn't it banned? That's the double standard thing. Okay? Chimamanda Adichie's Half of the Yellow Sun was banned. Was not allowed to air in some places in Nigeria. I've been trying. No, even my closest friends who are movie makers, nobody is agreeing to touch my book. But it's an eyewitness account of a child, of what wars does do to children and families. That's what the story of Biafra, lest we forget is about. So that we don't put people through the things I went through. I'm involved, I'm concerned, I experienced, I'm a victim, I'm a survivor. I am passionate about that issue because it's not funny. I've been shopping for how to, so that since Nigerians don't normally read, this is not the first time I write books and I think about how to put the books in forms that could become, you know, a lot more friendlier, because of the fact that the things I would have written in the book are things, the books are things that people need to read. My books on parenting, the same thing happened. I had to develop a game. Out of 3 books I wrote on parenting, which are going to be released in a few days' time on the, again, second edition on the 27th, I developed a card game out of the issues wrote in that book so that parents could. So I'm not new to trying to put books in forms that could make them easier to use, more user-friendly. So the production of The Man Died speaks to who people have become, movie watchers. But it's still not the same thing like reading the book. So, but then is there, this is something new. So even when you listen to the clips we have put in the video that is here, you get to have an understanding of what has been going on. What is still going on? What has been, yes, it's still going on. Where you are talking about there's a coup, there's no coup. Oh, by the way, huh? It's not new. That they are just taking stuff from playbooks that some people have used before. But I think this time there's a little bit of confusion. So maybe a few of them have a little conscience in there. As of today, it's all about the person who is there in Nassau Rock now remaining in power. That's what it's all about. And the other people outside saying, no, you can't be there. Not for anything Nigeria or Nigerians. No, not for any patriotic, nothing. No, selfish. To now. This guy there now is interested in building a personal empire. It's not even a Yoruba empire, so don't be deceived, please. Don't, it's not tribal. No, he's not building a Yoruba. Forget it. The names he might be putting there are sounding like Yoruba, but they are names of people who are loyal to him, not Nigeria. Understand that. These are things that caused even the military, even the very first one, military coup and counter coups, is the same thing. It's only about yourself now and your friends, so you must go. A new clique of friends come, okay? Those ones do another, go and check turn by turn until it got to him. That's his story of Emilio, come, it's my turn now, came. They're reading, so they're also reading the from books, the playbooks, to know that there's an opportunity to round up political opponents and frame them for coup. Yeah. Because as things are now, the average person on the street thinks nothing is happening. My parents, my mom, my dad, my family members, elder family members, 65, not to 60, nothing was happening. They were going about their business. Those people, they're just doing their thing. They're not just doing their thing. I've been saying it. You are the pawn in their game. You should not refuse to be pawned anymore. You have to let them know they are there to take care of things for everybody. Yeah, somebody has to be there. Some people have to be there. Yes. But the people that get there should think beyond that, but they are not. This guy there is doing what the people before him did because he studied them. He's changing the power base of Nigeria. That's what he's doing. He's building his own cabal, locally and internationally. We'll come to all of that. All the things that are playing out now are not happenstances. They are coordinated by that unseen hand outside the jar. We'll come to the issue. Who shook the blood? Who is shaking the bloody jar? They are shaking this jar in plain sight. You are seeing it every day, but you are commenting on social media. You're clapping. You're getting angry. You are abusing based on which tribe you are from, based on which religion. They don't have religion. They don't have tribe. That's why Fela called them beasts of no nation. It's a gang up of international magnitude against every and any country they pick up on that they have interest in. And the interest has never been the people in any of those countries. No. It's about the resources from those countries. Go and look at all the war zones or war regions or regions in the world where there are conflicts. Even if the place is poor, even so poor, the fact that they could demolish a place and then award the contracts to themselves, there are different countries to rebuild that place that they demolish again. You need to understand these things. No jokes. So anybody who is clapping for the people in Israel say, he's not forget. I have friends that say, look, as far as I'm concerned, even in plain sight, what are they doing? What they're managing? If they put you that you do better. Some people have built things in the past. They didn't do perfect, but they put things in place. What these guys have been doing is at best desecrate, decimate what people have put in place to at least say, okay, let's, even if it's cosmetic, let's say we are one people. They had learned, they read, they have very intelligent people around them. I know some of them. So the people outside that have left the APC specifically now to say they are forming, they know what their original plan was. But when they found out that this guy was not interested in what was the plan, he was interested only in himself, in building his own empire, and emerge as the emperor. That's the issue. They started living. But what is it? What is doing? Is it new? No, it's not new. He just borrowed from them and they're angry. Okay? But is it right? It's not right because it doesn't favor the everyday guy on the street in Nigeria. So those two camps, understand this now. Those two camps, what year are we? 2025. What month are we in? October. Go and check the significance of October and 1965 in Nigerian political history. While you are at it, also check the significance of December, January, July. Good. There are only two groups in Nigeria who could plan coups. I said that in Biafra, lest we forget, 15 years ago. I'm not just saying it now. It's published. It's not. Both editions, the first edition is available there. The second edition that was released earlier this year, I think was in July this year, is there. Okay? You can, so it's not a case of something I'm just coming because of what's happening. No. We're not discerning. Nigerians, you're not discerning, you know. Even when you are discerning, it also you move on. And that's why I've said Nigerians are so tolerating, they're so forgiving, they are so peace love. The average one, so in the jail until the shaking. But the shaking has been consistent. Yes. And the frequency and the intensity has only just increased. That's what's going on. So there are only two. The people who are in power themselves can plan coups by themselves. We've seen it happen. It's not new. There were coups that were announced of which people were killed in Nigeria that are called phantom coups. People got killed because certain persons didn't want certain people to be there anymore. They framed them up in coups. There's even a pathetic story of a major who went to report to his first coup. Just like they're saying now, there's a coup, there's no coup. In 1983, please remember, in 1983, during President Shehu Shagari's, I think, second term, the first time or second term, well, Shehu Shagari's term, I was rumored there's coup. The military said there's no coup. There's nothing like it. Now you have military officers saying democracy forever. They will come and tell you they are planning coup. Stay there. They play. Okay? They said there was no coup. This innocent major went to report to his boss, General Buhari then. And that some people are saying, when the coup eventually happened, this man was, wow. And they arrested him. That he knew something about the coup. His boss saved him. They recommended him for dismissal. These things are there. Read. General Buhari said, no, leave him. They left him in the army. If only he knew. I said, no, Oga, leave me, let me go. If only he knew. But I just left the Nigerian army at that point. The same army officer, when his bosses too decided to topple the guy that the boss that said no, leave him, don't retire him, General Buhari, was toppled by General Babangida. He also heard about the coup, but this time he decided not to say anything. I thought the other time they detained me, so let me keep quiet. When they were doing the investigation, they found out that he knew. They arrested him again. And then tried him with the others, sentenced him to death for not talking. The first time he talked, he was in trouble. The second time, he said, I'm not going to talk, so that they killed him. So now, how do you want any of those officers to come and tell you that, oh, there's a coup? Oh, yes. Come and put up the official, what was President Shagari not toppled? Was General Buhari not toppled? Coups, military coups. Was that the last time? No. General Babangida stepped aside. Abacha, that had been warming up to spoiling for war, was closer to power. And okay, let us try to see how we can manage this whole keg of gunpowder we have created, a government of national unity headed by Chief Ernest Shoneko. And they kept the wolf to watch after the sheep. And General Abacha walked in one day and said, okay, hey, okay, raise your hands. I'm taking over. Militaries. Well, was that the first one? No. The first one, sorry, not Nzog. General Adewusi. Okay, all of you gather here. I sign this paper now. The official story is that the parliamentarians said that he should take over. But then we have read several things that don't support that, but then believe what you want. He took over and made himself supreme leader. You see, that supreme thing was what caused all this wahala. Not by them, but by the people who radicalized them. When I'm saying them, by the people who radicalized the military. By radicalize, I mean made them to get interested in politics and become political participants. It was the politicians. The same thing is happening now. Now, it's just the final result that you have not seen. Whichever way it goes, Nigeria has entered one chance bus with no spare tire and a drunken driver. I'm not saying that President Tinubu is drunk, no. I'm just saying that's the scenario. The driver, there's an issue with the driver. The vehicle itself is not normal. And the people, you that you are normal, you entered it, every other person is not like you. So it's one chance, okay? The military got radicalized, politicized, and it has not stopped. The General Olusegun Obasanjo administration tried to professionalize the military again, retire certain officers. They say political, but radicalization is not a photocopy. It's not wait and get. It's not once and for all. No, this is a process. It's been ongoing. You have a crop that has been so radicalized now for several reasons by their friends in civilian politicians again. But now we need to go back to, I think, our 20 minutes out, right? So let's go back to answer our question. We have some responses here. Okay. Guys, please, can you help me put up the picture of the Sardauna and Prime Minister and Chief Obafemi Awolowo? Please, thank you. This is a quiz question. Number one, when was the first coup in Nigeria? I didn't say military coup, remember? Second, when the quiz has ended, okay, the time is up. So I'm kind of giving you the responses now, okay? Please help me to put up the pictures of Sardauna. Okay, thank you so very much. You see these three guys you are looking at here, our fathers, that the same all, you know, I don't know what is wrong with, I don't understand it. When I listen to the Sardauna speak, when I listen to it, it was so regal. So I was like, wow. You know, Chief Awolowo himself was, even Shatta Fabelo, you know, we've had people who could have made our stories different, but their egos got on the way. Parochialism got on the way. And it has not stopped. Before I say what I'm going to say about the quiz now, I want you to listen to something. I want you to listen to something, please. Some people have come forward to say hate speech. Who hate speech? Who created hate speech? What is hate speech? About you reminding people of this is what your problem has been. The whole issue of bringing it up to try to cow, you know, oppress, stifle the general population is, you know, it's misplaced. Sorry, TikTok is trying to stop my stream, but it's not going to work. Yes. Okay. Please, I didn't say remove. Okay, well, we are going to play me something. I want you to listen to a speech by Sir Ahmadu Bello. And there have been others who have taken after that. There have been others who have sustained that mindset that has not helped anyone. Not the North, not the South, not the East, not the West, has not helped anyone, has not helped Nigeria. So please, guys, can you play me that video of that interview with Sir Ahmadu Bello, please?
One thing I've noticed, Premier, while I've been here, is that Northerners seem to have, I might almost call it, obsession about the Igbos. Could you perhaps explain that to me?
Well, the Igbos are more or less the type of people whose desire is mainly to dominate everybody. If they go to a village, to a town, they want to monopolize everything in that area. If you put them in a labor camp as a laborer, within a year they will try to emerge as headman of that camp, and so on. Well, in the past, our people were not alive to their responsibilities, because you can see from our northernization policy that in 1952, when I came here, there weren't 10 northerners in our civil service here. Then I tried to have it northernized, and now all important posts are being held by northerners.
Is this policy of filling all key posts in the north solely with northerners and not with other Nigerians a temporary or permanent one?
In actual fact, what it is a northerner first. If you can't get a northerner, then we take an expatriate like yourself on contract. If we can't, then we can employ another Nigerian, but on contract too. This is going to be permanent, I should say, as far as I can foresee, because it will be rather dangerous to see the number of boys who are now turning from all our learning institutions, coming out with having no work to do. I'm sure whichever government of the day might be, it will feel rather embarrassed, and it might even lead to bloodshed.
Doesn't this damage the idea, sir, of all people in all regions in Nigeria being fellow citizens of one country?
Well, it might, but you are, new to our region, but how many northerners are employed in the east or in the west? The answer is no. And if there are, there may be 10 laborers employed only in the two regions.
1964. That was mentioning the Igbo specifically. But those were political, but carried a lot of weight. And people, especially in the north, who took what certain people say as law, have lived that law, have been living that law still. Now, when push came to shove, and the federal government then, under Sir Abubakar Tafawa Balewa, please could you put up their pictures again? No, now, they now got upset that Chief Obafemi Awolowo and the Action Group had made incursions into the North Central and Northeastern provinces that were considered, an affront by Sir Ahmadu Bello, who was controlling the prime minister anyway. Some things happened. There was rumor of cool or no cool, like today, like today. Rumor or no cool. 1962. So your first answer is 1962. It's not 1966. All of you that have said 1966, you fail. Cool or no cool? About that same time, the government of the Western region had been suspended over political. Today, the president in Nassau Rock now, my home state in Nigeria is Ekiti. It's his party, the APC, that's in government in that state. But let me wake up. Wake up. When I say they're shaking the bloody jar in plain sight, I'm not just saying it for saying sake. It's you're looking at it and it doesn't mean what it should mean to you. But you know what he has done? Know what they have done? Because the people in government there who are their party members are not in agreement with him trying to build an empire for himself. He has engineered a primary to happen, which doesn't usually happen. Is him himself, is he expecting any primaries within the APC for the presidential election? No. That's anathema. It's not possible that there will be a primary for the presidential election. You know, should he not take the requests and suggestion I made in asking him to learn and asking General Babangida to please advise his student and for student to listen to teacher. President Babangida steps aside and didn't continue. My request in that book, as I recalled it, promise kept, was please, sir, can you please also tell your student to please step aside? It's his right to contest. Yes, it's a Nigerian, yes, but for the sake of Nigeria, this was in March, February, March, that, you know, all this has not happened. So please. And people said to me, Rich, what are you saying? Is it not? Is this right? But must you buy everything you have money to buy? No. Pick anybody. Back the person. You are an old man. An old man. Though you, by the age you declared, you are supposed to be the contemporary of your daughter, which in itself is a problem. Not an abuse, not picking, but not real. That they are in the public domain, those issues. But Nigerians still just move on. We're discussing security, unity, security. We started this program by going on a quest for one Nigeria, outlining things that have been done in the past to keep Nigeria one, to build a new generation of Nigerians who could think as one, act as one. These guys, don't let it happen. So now, and that is what is happening. They are shaking the jar. So when the government of the Western region was suspended for, you know, just like these same guys suspended, they created the situation in River State and removed the governor, put somebody else in charge to be able to perfect what they thought or they think they have perfected. The people would always win. It might take time. Okay? The person that they put to put in charge of the Western region that time. That's why I said I will tell you, I will show you evidence that Ahmadu Bello, them, part of the radicalized, all of them were involved in the radicalization, all of them, just like now. So don't think that anybody of any one of them is concerned about you. No, it's about them, their egos. Okay? The person that they picked to be administrator, if you like, or the Western region that time, they picked somebody to be his ADC. You know who that person that was his ADC? This was before 1966. General Murtala Mohammed was the ADC to the administrator of the Western region, the soldier, ADC, Murtala Mohammed. Go and check the role he played leading up, things that led up to the Civil War itself. Go and check why that wanton killing of Nigerian military personnel of Southeastern, especially Igbo origin. A leader, your leader, maybe your mentor, made that kind of a statement that you just listened. I'm talking about radicalization. I'm talking about what's still going on now. Made that kind of a statement. You read it, people heard it. It was in public, so it was not hidden. It's not denied. It's there on the internet. I didn't get it. I didn't go into any archive, and it's on freely available online on YouTube. And he was sent to the Southwest for a reason. And when the coup happened and went, you get the message. Now, so the first coup in Nigeria happened in 1962. I didn't say rumored coup. 1962. Whether they framed or didn't frame, the result of the coup didn't say frame. When law courts have declared verdict and sentences that have been made, we can only be debating the rightness or the wrongness of the verdict. Chief Obafemi Awolowo was the mastermind of the coup. Do you know that? Do you know that? It's debated. It was debated for a very long time until 1993, when one of the main co-conspirators, SG Koko, okay? You don't take my word for it. Don't take my word for it. Go and check, bring out your phone. I told you you need to, today you need to, you have to, the students of Nigerian history, and we'll work together. Go and check. There is 1993. It's the year 1993. I don't want to talk rubbish. That's why I'm. The year 1993. SG Koko, during a national workshop on Nigerian history in Kaduna in June 1993, confessed that the coup of 1962 was real, that it was true, and there was Chief Obafemi Awolowo that. Some people have come up to say, okay, what do you expect him to say? Well, no. From what we know from history, SG Koko was one of Chief Obafemi Awolowo's most trusted allies at the time. And there were, he mentioned those of them who are assigned different roles. Well, first, the third question is that the coup failed. They didn't succeed. It was unsuccessful. And they were all tried. And those found guilty were jailed, including Chief Obafemi Awolowo himself, who was jailed for 10 years for coup before 1966. Get this. And Ghana, because that's where they sent people to be trained, they were said to, I mean, the alleged is the SG Koko himself, that's where he ran to. The 200 young men that were said to have recruited. And some people are saying, what would 200 people do? How many people executed the January 1966 coup? How many people executed the July 1966 coup? You don't need that now. It's usually a bunch of people that they take charge of strategic places, and that time it was a bit easier. Take the radio station, take the TV station, take the armory. Well, whoever is the head that they didn't want is toast. It's a little bit more complicated now. Okay? So it was Chief Obafemi Awolowo. And it was Ghana that was fingered as the nation that aided them then. He went to jail for it, so he couldn't be. And then SG Koku confirmed in 1993, yeah, that was a coup. So it's not me saying. It's not. I'm not saying anything I'm saying here out of hatred or out of to smear anybody. No, these are historical facts. There are many reasons they didn't want history to. They don't want you to know this stuff, and there are many more you should know before you start taking sides. They are not interested in you. Get that. Get that. Those who will tell you don't know it's your brother, they are waiting for their thumbs to get to the table. And when they get there, have you ever wondered when your friends are getting to certain, they don't take your phone calls anymore. They don't want to, whatever. And you are here, go, and he used to be my friend. He actually used to eat my house. We used to wear the same shoes. He used to wear my clothes. Story. They have become part of the cabal. That term, cabal, is amorphous. Okay? It lives. It's not a particular, a finite group of people all the time. No. They recruit new members depending on interest, depending on what they want. And next episode, when we're going to be talking of corruption, I will use a personal story of an experience I had in Lagos State, Nigeria, when the person in Aso Rock now, as president of Nigeria, was the governor of Lagos State. What his government and his wife did to me, to my project, to my organization. Okay? So when you talk about these people, when you've not had certain experiences, I talk about the civil war. I'm like, it affected me, and I know, and I'm saying, please, nobody else should. When you talk about corruption, it looks like, where my mother comes from, the Igbos. Yeah, I'm not talking about the Igbos because I want to defend. No, I'm for Nigeria. Okay, but then I will talk about what I know. There's a proverb. They say when they carry the corpse of a stranger, it's like they're carrying a log of wood. So when you hear things and you are not involved, you don't understand them. So stop complaining, stop commenting about things you have no understanding of. This guy threw me into debt in 2005, himself, his wife. I will talk about it. That's not why I'm starting this program now. But I want Nigerians to understand who you are clapping for. They don't mean well for you. They can't mean well for you. We have to pray for, Nigerians have to pray for who? God to send you. Right now, you have to make your voices heard because that's that. So, the last question, number 5. How many political has Nigeria had since 1966? Name them. There have been only 2 political parties, in case you have not woken up to that fact. 2 since 1966. Since the military were radicalized, 1960s. Well, 65 going into 66. Go and check the story of that 66, January 66. Go and check when they said they had been planning it. It didn't have, it wasn't January. Why can you plan something in 2 weeks? No. Any of the coups. Well, so there have been only 2 political parties in Nigeria. Those are still the only 2 political parties in Nigeria right now. Since 1966, it has remained the military, and the rest. That's their names. The military and the rest are the political parties in Nigeria. So when the civilians are misbehaving, they know they have their friends in the military who pitch sides, you know, in whoever, and whoever favors certain people, and they support behind. We cannot sit aside and watch Nigeria corruption, whatever, when they get there. At the end of the day, the decks have been leveled. They will bring back their friends. That's why I've said earlier, there are only two groups that can plan coups in Nigeria. The government in charge to give themselves a soft landing when they see that things are not favoring them. They invite their friends in the military to take over, agree on things. That's why you see when certain coups happened, the people in charge were not tried for anything. Certain perceived enemies are jailed, detained. The other ones have been put in house arrest and all of that, treated differently. It happened not once, not twice. Okay? So the sitting government can plan, balance things up. It might not be exactly the president or whatever. People around them, most times they just talk. The people around them have other ideas, and then things happen. Okay? Then the group that had either broken away or that are in opposition. Unfortunately for Nigeria and Nigerians, the person who is president now has no military background. Just like President Goodluck Jonathan didn't have military background. But there's another difference. Oh, but there's a difference. That's a similarity. But there's a difference. The person who is there now some people call it being savvy. Some people call it being astute. Some people call it being, you know, an a quality for attainment, for succeeding. No. The person there is Machiavellian to the core. The end justifies the means. He wouldn't make statement and he wouldn't have feelings like President Jonathan had during the election that brought General Buhari to power. When he said, my ambition, that's President Goodluck Jonathan speaking there, my ambition is not worth the blood of my ambition is not worth the blood of any Nigerian. And he considered, and you can say anything about him, performance, and all of that. If he didn't take that decision, did he win? Did he lose that election? No. Of course, things have emerged, just like the person there now, did he win the election that brought him to power? You answer the question. You guys are saying no. From inside your belly, on social media, he didn't win. They rigged it. Well, but President Jonathan considered and left. But you guys had now been saying he should come back. He's your savior. But I will play you another. I want them to play another tape, another video. Because we're not here just to say problems. Solution. President Goodluck Jonathan made another statement recent times on a video. I saw it and I'm like, oh, okay, wow, okay, good. Please, guys, could you play it back for me? By the way, nobody won my book. I want to give it away. Okay. There's only one. Please, I would like to have the I didn't see the name, I just seen the answer. The person that gave Ghana as the country that was accused of aiding the coup plotters in Nigeria or 1962. I won't send you an autographed hardbound copy, I will send you an e-copy of the book. So could you just ask the person to send you an email address, yes, so that we could send an e-copy of Biafra lest we forget to that person for at least getting one answer correct. Okay, all the other ones. No. Okay, he actually said no, two. He got two. Military government and civilian government. Well, close. Well, should I say the military and the civilians? Okay, two. But he answered two. So, well, it's still the same person. So I'm going to give this person the e-copy of Biafra lest we forget. So let's get his email address, please. And by the way, I talked earlier on about having to shop for people to produce. I come to a conclusion that we will work through other means to produce that book, either as a movie or as a documentary. So I'm going to be launching a GoFundMe. I don't have that money. I don't have the budget that I've been given to produce it. I don't have it. So I'm going to be launching a GoFundMe because I want to make that production free of charge on the internet. I'm not interested in one, you can't stop it from being played on the internet. Two, I want every Nigerian and friend of Nigeria to watch and see what happens in reality in war situation, not stories that soldiers tell about their prowess during wars. No. Okay. And excuse me. And by the same token, I now excuse me. By the same token, I would also want to release, excuse me, please. So, sorry about that. By the same token, I would also want to make the e-version, okay, of that same book, Biafra Lest We Forget To, available free of charge for anyone who wants to read it. So for that reason, to produce a movie, a documentary, to tell that story in pictures, I'm going to launch a GoFundMe campaign. And when that happens, I'll also release that book. I'll get Amazon Audibles, whoever is selling it now, not to sell again, make it available free of charge for anybody to download the ebook to read. I might even add the audiobook to it. So people can read. I have an understanding of what would happen, not could, what would happen to you if these guys, if not what they are doing, it's what happened to this woman here. That's why she's here. Okay? But before I go into what happened and why this, I've talked about Ahmad Bello, I've been talking in passing about President Obasanjo, but I'm going to talk, there are details, maybe in the next half an hour or so for us to end the stream, about the other persons in this picture, why they are here behind me, and that structure behind me, why it's there. What's the link to national security about those things? Well, I will get back. And we get to also look at what is it that should constitute issues in issues of threat to national security. Okay, but before we get into all of that, I want us to play back the video and that we produced for this episode. I also want us to do that quickly so that I do not walk away from here without responding to questions and comments that some community members would have sent in before now. Okay, so please, guys, let's see the video for today. Who is shaking the bloody jar? Thank you.
Nigeria feels like a country on edge, uneasy, restless, constantly waiting for the next tragedy. Bombs no longer shock Nigerians. Kidnappings have become social media content resources, not horrors. From rural villages, farm settlements, to cities and major highways, the ordinary act of living has become adventures in daily risk management for individuals, families, communities, and Nigeria as a whole. It is not that Nigerians are fearful or fearless. It is that fear has lost its effect because it is now a part of daily living in Nigeria. Nigeria, through her leadership failures, seems to have built an entire culture around survival, not security. Farmers are constantly terrorized, forcing whole villages and communities to abandon their lands. Schools shut down after abductions. Families count loved ones before and after every journey, and in some communities, at regular intervals. Even in cities, the silence after dark speaks volumes. The question no one dares to ask aloud is simple. How did Nigeria and Nigerians get here, and why does it feel intentional? Watch this video, created for Say a Prayer Guys. May Nigeria never happen to you. To find out how Nigeria's growing insecurity is not just a matter of crime or conflict, but a symptom of leadership that thrives on confusion and division, and to learn how the emergence of more selfless voices like Wole Soyinka and Fela Anikulapo Kuti could impact Nigeria. Today, insecurity stretches across every region in Nigeria. In the north, banditry, terrorism, and mass abductions have emptied villages and silenced farms. In the south, oil theft, cultism, and kidnapping for ransom have become profitable industries. Across the Middle Belt, farmers and terrorists masquerading as herders clash over shrinking land and leadership neglect. Highways are now corridors of danger. Markets operate under tension. Schools teach in fear. The police, underfunded and politicized, often become spectators in the tragedy they were meant to prevent. And the military, well, they have remained Nigeria's most enduring political party since July 1966. Even Nigeria's capital city, Abuja, the one place that should represent control, is no longer immune. When attacks reach Abuja, it signals something deeper. Nigeria's insecurity is not a regional problem. It is a national condition of a crisis magnitude. And yet, Nigeria's leadership continues to decorate the surface and ignore the roots whilst keeping themselves busy with futile adventures in personal empire building. Instead of fostering peace and togetherness in Nigeria, they make divisive and retrogressive changes like that of the national anthem, changed back to the one composed during the British colonial era in Nigeria, and ironically claiming it was a move for unity, moving to rename the National Arts Theatre to the Wole Soyinka Center for Culture and the Creative Arts, without seeking the opinions of the Nigerians. These symbolic gestures cannot hide the cracks, they only make the deception more visible. Born on July 13, 1934, Professor Wole Soyinka has spent his life confronting the very kind of dysfunction that fuels this present chaos. A playwright, poet, and moral voice for generations, he became the first African to win the Nobel Prize in Literature in 1986. Through words sharpened by experience, Professor Soyinka has challenged tyranny and exposed the quiet rot beneath power's polished surface. To him, the greatest danger is not oppression itself, but the silence that allows it to thrive. In the recent film adaptation of his prison memoir, The Man Died, Professor Soyinka offers an image that captures Nigeria's dilemma perfectly. He describes a jar filled with red ants and black ants living in peace until someone outside the jar shakes the jar. The ants, disoriented and angry, turn on each other, fighting to the death. Then comes Professor Soyinka's chilling question: who is shaking the bloody jar?
You should be in class teaching. Why are you always disturbing the peace of the land. The last time you held up a radio station with a gun.
Hey, stop that.
Now you are in bed with Ojukwu.
You know, when I see you fighting each other, and then the warders fighting you and you fighting each other, you know what I see? I see this nation. Have you heard the story about the red ants and the black ants in the jar? You know, they're all going about their business, you know, doing their thing, until someone shakes the jar. And then the ants, they start to fight each other. Now, why the red and black ants are fighting is a secondary issue. The urgent question is, who shook the bloody jar?
That question hangs over every community divided by ethnicity, every faith pitted against another, and every peaceful protest turned violent. Because the truth is, the hands shaking the jar are not the ones inside it. That same spirit of defiance and truth burned in Fela Anikulapo Kuti, born October 15, 1938, musician, activist, and founder of the Afrobeat movement. His stage was his battlefield and his saxophone, a weapon of truth. Through songs like Beasts of No Nation, he captured the decay of a country where power had lost its humanity, where those meant to protect instead preyed on the people, and where leadership had become indistinguishable from oppression, where connivance with external forces for personal gains overshadows their expected and avowed duties to protect and defend Nigeria and Nigerians.
Many leaders as you see them, and different disguise them they go. Animally human skin, animally put to die, animally wear dada, animally put to suit. Peace of the nations, ethnic and bad now bad society. Peace of the nation, ethnic and bad. Peace of the nation, put to now bad society.
Both Professor Wole Soyinka and Fela Anikulapo Kuti stand as different expressions of the same fire, using art, intellect, and defiance to call a nation back to sanity. The path to security in Nigeria would open when Nigeria and Nigerians stop waiting for saviors and start building systems that protect them. Support community policing, demand accountability from local leaders, and use your voice, online, at town halls, and through the ballot, to make security a shared responsibility, not a government slogan. That is why this series, The Quest for a Working Nigeria, exists, to reawaken national conscience through stories that remind Nigerians of the shared humanity. It is not nostalgia for the past, but a call to rediscover the unity, accountability, and integrity that once defined the peoples of Nigeria. If Nigeria and Nigerians ever hope to stop fighting inside the jar, Nigeria and Nigerians must first expose the hands shaking the bloody jar. Want to learn more? Our live stream on this topic is linked in the description. Activate the notification bell so you do not miss any new episodes. And if you find this video valuable, we invite you to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Say a Prayer Guys. May Nigeria never happen to you. That way, you never miss the conversations that matter about Nigeria and Nigerians. May Nigeria happen for all Nigerians and friends of Nigeria.
So much. It was rather lengthier than normal of when you consider our earlier videos, but there was no way to make it shorter. Sorry if it felt too long for you. I was of the opinion that they'll put a panel set up by the President Olusegun Obasanjo administration for peace and reconciliation was a waste of time. That I was one of those that felt that way until I had this woman's story. This, why am I? Why? Oh, yeah, that woman there, Hajia Maria Aliyu. I had her story, and I'm like, wow. And at the same time, I listened to the people who were supposed in a gathering that was supposed to be for reconciliation and truth finding. I listened to the questions they were asking how my heart broke. I'm like, how can these old men? And I wanted to say this at the beginning of this program. I don't know how I just got carried away. I wanted to say, look, if you are my age, please don't watch this program. Just go away. Because I want to talk to the younger people. What they are doing is they're playing poker with your future. If you are 50 and below, they're messing you up. Look at all of them. Look at all of them in those pictures. Look at the ones I've shown you. Please, guys, could you put up for me the pictures of Justice Chipudufo Puta and Hajia Maria and General IBM Harada. And listen, I took interest, and I'm like, I wasn't particularly looking for her on YouTube, but I'm like, wow. What were the things that touched me? I could feel her story because we experienced some of the things she experienced. She narrated in that story. I knew the places she was mentioning. I grew up in Port Harcourt. If you read the same Biafra Let's We Forget, my mother took us out of Port Harcourt before Port Harcourt fell to the federal troops. My only sister, she's late now, didn't listen. I narrated all those stories instead. Didn't hear her. My mother, except for immovable property, everything that belonged to her, she moved away from Port Harcourt before Port Harcourt fell to the federal troops. My sister didn't listen. I said, well, I'm just going to get inside my car and drive down to Aba. In a war situation, even in old dog said, how? And while she tried it, of course, the Biafran soldiers took away her car from her. Of course, she was not the only one. They needed equipment for the war efforts and all of that. When she eventually decided, when federal troops were already entering Port Harcourt, she eventually decided to. So I know the story. I had the story of what happened at Imo River. The train story, that was where I stopped and I said, wow, wait a minute. And I decided to watch the whole of her testimony. She had a 3-year-old son with her. And a 2 months, I think it's 2 months old son. You are a parent. You are a parent. These are things that these are what happened, the kind of things that happen in war. So know it. Don't stand there and be claiming is my brother, is Yoruba, is outside. No. And do you know what the unfortunate thing about this time period is? This time wouldn't be like that time. Nobody is conniving with anybody now. It will be a free-for-all. Nobody is ganging up to find anybody. No. Especially with what is happening in Lagos now. You're renaming streets. You're demolishing. How? Somebody will say, is it Tinubu that's doing? Excuse me, please. Before 1999, I grew up in Port Harcourt and Lagos. My school years, my major school years were in Lagos. Before 1999, nobody cared about where anybody came from. That talk of Lagos is a no man's land. It wasn't a negative talk. It was just to talk about how free people were in Lagos. But when this guy became governor, that changed. Go and check. When I say this guy, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, then go and check his and his wife's and supporters' utterances during electioneering periods in Lagos about the Igbos. Go and check. And now he's the president of Nigeria. There was a hatred thrown up. Remember the video we showed earlier? Trickling down, is still there. Nnamdi Kanu is in detention. I don't like Nnamdi Kanu's style. I don't like his approach to issues of governance in Nigeria. Breakup is not, Nnamdi Kanu is part of the problem. Go and check his background. The British created the authority they are claiming, warrant chief. I think it was his grandfather first and then his father. And then that same entitlement mentality is what he has, which is wrong. Which is why you need to know, by the way, have to understand, by the way, that the people who are keeping him in detention are not the Yorubas and the Hausas. No, they are his people, whom he doesn't understand himself. They are his own people. There's a saying in Igbo land, Igbo enweze, Igbo ameze. The Igbos have no king. Go and check their history from Nuri. To go back and check. Somebody will say, what about the Obi of Onitsha? Where did the Obi of Onitsha? Go and check where those ones came from. The Igbos are very, very decentralized, democratic people. They abhor any one person saying it is me. And that is why you hear Iche 1, Iche 2, Iche 3 of this. Just don't know. The real titles in Igbo land are communally conferred, not by. So the British created the warrant chiefs, wanting to make the Southeast to look like the North and the Southwest that have Obas and Emes. The Igbos didn't have. And the people hated the warrant chiefs. I grew up in a village where there was one. I knew what happened. They don't listen to them. The Igbos are governed by what they call the Amala, the elders, entitled and prominent citizens within a community. They come together to take decisions, not one person. So, to his people, understand this. It might sound, we need to, when you throw culture and tradition away, it's the same thing that has happened in Kano. Now, what's happened in Kano? It breaks my heart. Am I Hausa? Am I Fulani? No. It breaks my heart that you have two emirs in Kano, in Nigeria today. Come on. What's the reason? Ego, me. And people take sides. He is there. He hasn't become anything. You see videos of him online, people polishing his shoe in his regal, in public, people dusting. People are seeing those things. And look at even his relationship with his lawyers. Look at his utterances with, and most importantly, when they were talking, we're talking security, we're talking unity here. When they created their IPOB and drew a map, what is the reason for which General Gowon, by instigation, and I suppose if you look at, go and check the history of the person they released in prison and made finance minister, Chief Obafemi Awolowo. What was the reason they created the 12 states? To break, to keep people. Chief Obafemi Awolowo was the first person that started talking about creation of states because of the people in the Middle Belt, because of the same people in the South, the Rivers province, the Calabar provinces, that time of the Eastern region, and all of that, to break for political gains, to, but there was a sense, emancipate people, give people their rights, stop treating people as property. Anybody who is my age that had any understanding of the Southeast, before the creation of states like Cross River and Akwa Ibom, I'll give you an example. The average Igbo guy felt that those people are only good enough for being houseboys and house girls. Go and check. So now you want to Biafra, and you went and drew a map that included those people again without consulting them. You don't even have an understanding of the complexities of the region that you are claiming should be a country. You don't. But then, the issue of double standards comes up again. His intention. Asari Dokubo has an army in the Niger Delta. What's the name of the other one? They're all government security contractors now in the Niger Delta. You have Amotekun in the Southwest. But for some strange reasons, the ESN in the Southeast and IPOB are terrorist organizations for saying, please protect us. If you're not going to protect us, let's protect ourselves against these people who are coming in and killing our women, our daughters, our children, at will. The federal government is not. What's the response of the federal government? The federal government has troops positioned in that. Meanwhile, there is a terrorist group that has the capital of its caliphate in a local government in Nigeria. The other day I saw a video somebody sent to me, an army general holding a press conference that they have arrested an IPOB commander, ESN collaborator. How many? I'm not siding anybody. I'm only just saying, make Nigeria safe for all Nigerians. Start by looking seriously into having state police sorted out. Stop being selfish because you want to control from the center and use national resource to oppress people that don't agree with you. That's what they are using the Nigerian police to do. State police would at least work at, and the issue of insufficient manpower and all of that will become the problem of the states, not the federal. There will also be the federal police to take care of federal issues and all of that. But we've been blocking it for what reason? Selfish political reasons. What has the Igbos done to you people? What? You're cutting your nose to spite your face. You have a rounded nation that if all hands were put on deck, that country. So I want you please to listen to what somebody will say. Hey, what else would you say? He's an Igbo man. Well, hear if you want to hear, learn if you want to learn. What President Goodluck Jonathan says is the solution to whatever is going on. Please, guys, can you play me that video? Thank you. So that you see why you should not continue to keep quiet. You see why what's happening now is not an accident, but then you have an understanding of what needs to happen for you to have the peace, the security, and the development that you dream of. Okay? Guys, please play me the video, the President Goodluck Jonathan interview.
And it's finding time to come and play the courtesy call. So I have to thank you that you are the first, because I came here 2 days ago. After all, use this unique opportunity to encourage you in what you are doing. And Nigeria, for us to move forward, we need unity.
Don't be biased. Don't
so many countries, when you talk about in the late 50s, early 60s, there was prediction that Nigeria and XYZ countries will be at par. I don't want to go into mentioning those names. And you normally ask yourself, why are we still where we are? This was predicted by intellectuals, not ordinary people. People who study the world and look at the world trends and predicted that Nigeria, Brazil, India, blah, 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 will be this. All those countries have left us. But we are still where we are. And we Nigerians must ask ourselves one question. Why have we not been able to move with others? There is, in terms of tribal sentiments and every nation, but the degree we have in Nigeria is very debilitating. It's what is pushing us backward. We have a country that we don't believe we belong into that country. Most of our leaders will say Nigeria is not a nation. We have different nationalities. It's a geographical expression, all kinds of terms. And I believe that the young people especially, if we must move forward, we must leave those sentiments aside. Every nation, every country, they have their own history. A Nigerian must see himself as a Nigerian. And we must see ourselves as one. And if I am the president, if the best person to hold a particular office is either from Enugu or from Ibadan or from Sokoto or from Yenagua or from Calabar, it doesn't matter. And until we get to that point, as a nation, we cannot move anywhere. We'll be putting square pegs in round holes and round pegs in square holes because of religious sentiments, tongue sentiments, tribal sentiments. And I believe that if by divine providence you win the election, your first responsibility is to unite Nigeria. Without unity, we cannot solve our security problems. Without unity, we cannot solve our economic problems. So if you unite Nigeria, that is the beginning of a new Nigeria and a revolution, development or otherwise, that will take place. I've been listening to comments from, of course, the political leaderships, and sometimes even our supporters do more damage than on our behalf. And I must commend you because your utterances so far have not shown any division. I must commend you on that. And just keep doing what is right, because you are to be if you win, you'll be a president for the whole nation. You'll not be a president for any group of people. But I must commend the Labour Party, the Transition. Though sometimes people complain about the media, social media supporters. But to you, nobody has made any negative reference about your vision for this country. So, my brothers, my sisters, thank you for coming. Maybe we'll have time for more elaborate conversation, but on behalf of my family, thank you sincerely for coming to pay us this courtesy call. It's a big honor, because you don't really need to come and see me. I'm just one individual. But you've now come to greet me. Of course, Peter B is my younger brother, and he's been quite, he's a friend, a younger friend. He showed that clearly. But he's a good man. That is, I can say that. Thank you.
I don't think that statement was political. I don't think the interview was political. He might have been talking about a particular individual, but he's talking from a general viewpoint. Well, general but specific viewpoint about what should turn Nigeria's situation around. A leader who is a Nigerian leader. A leader who's patriotic. A leader who has the interests of Nigeria and Nigerians at heart. Right now, that hasn't happened. By my estimation, it's my opinion. It's my opinion. You have your own. By the way, there's a poll going on. Well, that's the question is do you think is security the biggest issue in challenge Nigeria has right now? Okay. That's the question. Is a yes or no. Do you think if you check on YouTube, you'll find that poll there. You can vote, please. Thank you. As far as I'm concerned, I said it about the time I wrote the Biafra book. And someone who's close, if a cousin really that time, said, we don't know what you're talking about. I said, look, as far as I'm concerned, the most patriotic Nigerian leader we've ever had is President Olusegun Obasanjo. And so he has his faults, all of us have. I don't know if you found any human being that is perfect. I haven't found any. I'm not. You are not. By a long shot. Okay? And it's in trying to do things to balance up, to bring everybody to the table. The Yorubas accused him that time. They didn't even vote for him. That he was a candidate of the North for trying to. This guy knew where they were coming from, what caused that civil war. He was a combatant. It was at his command that the war came to an end. He knew what happened. He has better information than you have. And some of the people today who are Nigeria, they are people that his administration brought to the table, including El Rufai. Okay, he was even accused. His father was Igbo. That's why he's. What is this thing about Igbos? Why do we want to so hate ourselves that we don't see the good in anybody else? Sir Amadou Bello, Chief Awolowo, Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe, all of them played that game. It didn't help. It led to the civil war. And then after it, the military took turns those of them who participated in July 66 coup, took turns until the last of them. And then the other ones who have not ruled, okay, are too old now. But they are still pulling the string. When I watched Hajia Maria tell that her story, I also had, by the way, just the chief operator is not longer with us, but I feel he handled, because his position was not an easy one. But now I ask myself, who would they have brought to head that panel? Would Nigeria have had to go and look for a foreigner to come to head? But he handled, I don't know any other Nigerian that could have played the role, they played the way. I listened to certain things at the time. The Igbo, the council representing Ohaneze, please help me put up the picture of General Haruna, IBM Haruna, Justice Oputa, and Hajia Maria Haliu. Interrogating this poor woman that went through that horror. It's not the general horror of the war. It's a personal tragedy that you saw your son, 3-year-old son, taken from you by whoever, and you never saw that child again. That statement became ingrained. I can't get it out of my head, because that child was 3 years old that time. I was 7. So we were contemporaries. She herself was 26, which was about the same age with General Haruna at that time. If you look at how old they say they are now, 85, I think. So this woman too will be about 85 now, if she's alive. And anybody that has her contact, please, I would like to make contact with her. I never saw that son again. And for the sake of the 2-month-old, somebody, please, our humanity is still there. Please, somebody, a man. I don't want to go into the gory stories of what happened, how they were stripped naked. I saw all of those myself as a child in the course of that war, which is why I told that story. As a matter of fact, the original manuscript, they were like, please, Richie, can you, this aspect is too graphic, I was forced to remove certain, but they were true. Some people even questioned me that time. You're a boy of, how do you remember all of that? I'm sorry, I don't know what kind of brain you have. We are not the same. I know what happened to me, and I narrated it. And the same thing, the Ohaneze councillors, I felt outraged at their trying to make it look like some people schooled this woman as to what she should say. Why would anybody school you to narrate your pain? The same Ohaneze that went to the Opita panel to ask for money, reparation. Money is your problem? Money is the devastation of the East, that you should talk about specific things, talk about specific issues. You want to be asking for money. Which now also brought Arewa to say, okay, if you want money, and they turned the whole thing into some charade, some play act. And General Haruna's picture is there because, sir, at your age, because I still saw some interviews that are not so long ago. You were asking what General Gowon was asking for forgiveness for. You didn't think that anything was done wrong? No humanity, even as a soldier, to say, well, it was war, but I'm not comfortable with some. No, 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 but he's like, well, I don't have anything to apologize. Don't have. And these are these guys who are the decision makers for what happens from that part of the country. How can there be peace? How can there be security? How? A man, an Igbo man, the woman at her age, at the time of the Puta panel, she said she was 61. So that's why I'm saying by today it will be 85, like General Haruna. At 61, a man, an Igbo man, took her and that 2-year-old son. You can go and check for the story. If you don't have it, send me a mail. I will send you the link. So you listen. So you know what happens to people when you keep quiet and these people are playing their politics, which is they've reached, like I said earlier on, everybody there now is inside the bus, one chance, no spare tire, the drunken driver in charge. By the things that are happening now in plain sight. And a man took her and that baby to a village, shielded them, protected them. The villagers got afraid because of something I can attest to happened. The house she was taken to with that child, the man said the man told her that it's because of that child that is taken, but she has lost one. Remember, the 3-year-old was gone. The man took her to the village, handed over to an old woman. The youth of the village in the story, her narrative herself, took her baby away and threw the baby inside the forest out of fear. She said it herself. When the man eventually returned to say, where is the baby? And they said, why did you do this? The cry of the baby will bring people and they will see the mother and they will kill the mother. No, but in Biafra, lest we forget, before I had this woman's story, we are Yorubas. My mother is Igbo. My father spoke Igbo. My father had to leave the East to return to the West over the kind of things this woman said. People were killing even their in-laws, even their friends, even their business partners who were from the West or the northern part of the country. We children were with our mother. We had Yoruba names. Listen, this is what happens when people keep quiet like you are keeping. When these people get to the full stop of their story that they are telling, their narrative, where they are going, it's a playbook. This is 2025. 60 years ago, this was the situation in Nigeria. My name is Aderopu. My elder brother's name is Adebumi. But all of us, everyone, uncles, aunts, grandmother, grandfather, everybody called him Ade. My own, they called me by my Igbo name, Chile. So I didn't have much problem. Because they were going to homes and taking people who had names that didn't sound Igbo and all. was a taboo to call my elder brother by his Yoruba name, or even me by my own Yoruba name. My younger brothers were twins, Taiwo and Kainde, so nobody will say Ejima. The Igbo version of Tai and Kainde is Ejima, so nobody. So this, you guys don't understand this thing. It was a family meeting. No, don't call my children by their Yoruba names, please. Not because my mom hated Yorubas or whatever. It was to protect us so that people don't get us killed. Our relations, our neighbors, our friends. This happened to this woman. And the young people say, we don't want, but that woman took a lot of risks. Her narration eventually took her to his own town. This woman remembered the name of the town. Meanwhile, General B.M. Haruna was there calling, apart from he saying he doesn't regret anything, he doesn't know what Gowon was apologizing for, he doesn't know what anybody was apologizing for. He also was questioning the authenticity of the testimony of some of the people who the organizer had, none of whom was a child as at the time of that war. If me, that was 7, I'm saying what I'm saying, I wrote a book, then you're questioning. Why I brought this up is to show how the people who are elders have not helped anything and still not helping anything. But that Igbo man that didn't know this woman from anywhere protected her and the child, took to his own village to meet his 2 wives, went to the village head, said, please, I have a problem, I have somebody, please, because of her child. They kept that woman, protected that woman. She lived amongst them with that child till the federal troops eventually, this was 1967 to 1970 now. So she lived with these people, Igbos. Why didn't they kill her? Why did they kill her, the child, the son? That 2-month-old son then, is about 50, what now? 59 now. So if he's alive. So when Professor Soyinka said, who is shaking the bloody jar? That's what we are talking about. Those people, there's nothing, they didn't see any difference. You can tell me it's an isolated, it's not true. It's not isolated. There are many cases because people are not talking. Because people, if she didn't come out to share her story, would you know it? You wouldn't know. What about me? What about us? This almost the same thing that happened to her happened in reverse to us. Apart from, eventually, I was in a place, it's all in there in the Biafra book, by myself, in a place called Nkwere, when the war ended. And by a stroke of luck, providence, really, I ran into one of my elder brothers who was in the Biafran army, where we went to pick Udara, cherry, whatever. It's not Udara, so forget cherry, forget whatever name English. Go and Google Udara, find out what it is, okay? I went to pick Udara with other children, with the family I had traced that were neighbors. The story is there. And some people have seen my brother and told you, your brother, we met. Eventually, we set out to return on foot. Of course, at that time, when war happens, there's no car, there's no train, there's no plane, there's no ship. It's your legs from Nkwere to walk back to Aba. My brother was in the army. One of my sister was in the army too. But my sister had packed things for me. I was with her in Owerri when the federal troops recaptured Owerri for the last time. And remember, a child, pack basket for me. If anything happens before I come back, just face where the crowd is facing, follow them, carry only this basket. She put food, fried meat, fish, and but my brain, oh, how can I leave here and leave all my sister's things? So I started putting some of her clothes inside another small bag. I carried those 2 baskets that were with me. So those are clothes, some of those are clothes I took became useful for my brother. He didn't have any clothes, other clothes but the military uniform. So they were hiding. The federal troops were already, where the war had ended. Okay, but then, and the federal troops were rounding up their French soldiers. So when we eventually met, he said, "Go and bring your things. We have to go." The following day, I carried my basket. He looked at it and he saw some of my sister's clothes, and he removed the torn, tattered army uniform he was wearing and wore our sister's gown. So when we were now walking, there were military checkpoints all over. We got to a particular place. That's why I'm saying, what happened to this woman? What role that woman? Another Yoruba officer saved us just about the same way this woman. So our humanity, don't let us dispense of it, please. We got to that checkpoint. That means but my brother, they were checking. The soldiers were stopping, putting all the men to one side. The story is in that book. And they were checking their elbows and their knees for crawl marks. When they see marks, they say you have to put the person aside. My brother was in the army, so of course, necessarily he would have. So they put him aside. But my brother started speaking Yoruba to me, to them hearing where they say off standard. A Yoruba army, I think it was a sergeant. What? Soldier. Said, well, Yoruba. My brother started narrating. He removed him from the group of those men that I said, come and stand here with me. I stood there with him. And when his colleagues looked away, he just asked us to enter the bush. Just go. We were in the bush. We saw when they shot the persons that had been separated where my brother would have been in. They shot them, killed them. But for that soldier, they would have shot me too, because there was no way they were going to shoot my brother and I see him fall. I will not go to run to hold him. Of course, they will shoot you and nobody cares. They move on. There are dead bodies all over the place. Read the book. Go look for it. Read it. That's Nigeria we're talking about. And now today, what's happening? The person who is a civilian, who God has blessed, however, if God has blessed President Bola Ahmed, what else does he want? But to be able to use, but instead he's busy trying to turn Nigeria into a one-party state, shaking the table all over the place. Look at what he said that he's doing in Abia. Like I said, in my home state, he's engineering a primary in his own party against the governor, the sitting governor, which is not their tradition anyway. Like I've asked, would anybody challenge him to have a primary if he insists and to contest the election in 2027, which he's also trying to bring forward to 2026? The first thing he did was to mess up the work that this man, this old man, between himself and Hajia Maria Aliyu did. That's Pa Odiase, the person that composed, produced the national anthem, the second national anthem, which has become the old anthem now, that he said, that President Tinubu said, that's my priority. How could changing an anthem be your priority? How? But he did. And people clap for him, and he's quoting the National Assembly. Which National Assembly? National Assembly you have in your pocket? Was that how the anthem came up in the first place? The anthem came up through a competition, a nationally advertised and processed competition. The anthem that a Nigerian composed. You won't stop there. They are radicalizing traditional rulers, want to bring them into politics. And those ones are happy. Everybody wants to become a politician. For the first time, I can't remember, if anybody remembers, please say it in chat if you remember, when the other time that it's the civilian administration that the National Day, October 1 military parade was not observed. Just put in chat to remind me. This year, it was cancelled. What's the reason? No, what? What is the reason? Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces. That was the opportunity to fraternize, to embrace, to show the world I'm in charge. I'm the commander-in-chief. Did it happen? What's the reason? But on the same day, they went to this structure behind me here, the National Arts Theatre. National Arts Theatre. I have nothing against Professor Wole Soyinka. I have already said somebody I admire his work so much that I wrote my first degree thesis on one of his works, The Interpreters. It's somebody I admire his work, but has he always done okay? Look, by the way, there's a controversy about who the unknown gunman that went to hold up the radio station in the West was, and the crisis that eventually snowballed into the Civil War. And he was also arrested, tried, and he got away on technical ground that, oh, the person that came was buried. Anybody could wear wigs. It was denied, has been being debated. But again, last year, okay, even if you haven't read the book before, even if you say it was a printing error in the book, in that same clip that we played for you, in that same trailer, that same movie they produced on The Man Died, there's a line there that says, that is how you went with a gun to. I don't believe that Professor Soyinka wouldn't have been consulted in the process of producing that movie. So let the debate stop about who the unknown gunman was or not. But the point here is a person that played the kind of role that he played, for which he went to jail, for him to have been influenced by the sitting president to accept, to agree for the National Art Theatre to be named after him, put a whole lot of question mark on that solid regard, that solid. The reason he gave, well, is the duty is that, no, sir. This guy just used you to play his political games. Now, who built the National Arts Theatre? The military. Who commissioned it? General Obasanjo. See him there, okay? Down there, okay? So that's him in his military uniform. He commissioned it. Remember, when was the national anthem? Obasanjo. The one he changed. Obasanjo. During the civilian era, remember, so that when these people are playing their games, you should understand it for what it is. During the civilian era, the sitting president of Nigeria now was the governor of Lagos State. Created new local governments in Lagos, and there was a face-off with the federal government, and President said, you can't do this. There's a process, okay? So what he's doing now, understand this, and that's what he's going to continue to do. You can't create local government, you can't. Now, the question you should ask yourselves is this. He's been president now for 2 years or thereabout. Why hasn't he converted those LCDs now to full local government since he became president? Why hasn't he? What has changed? Understand these people for who they are. It's ego, spite, to show. And it's still show. One would have expected that, oh, become governor or become president, okay, Lagos State. Of course, he knows that immediately other states will immediately create. Yeah. Don't be surprised. It's not out there in the open yet, but don't be surprised to hear that there is approval for new states in Nigeria. Who does new states favor? It's not the people. It's the elites being settled to have their own enclaves, have their own kingdoms, have their own share of the national cake. That's why they created, after the 12, every other thing was to settle people. They are still settling. So don't be surprised that this president, you will hear that new states, approval of new states, to weaken some areas, gain some new supporters to perpetuate himself in power. Yeah. So, imagine if Alhaji Shehu Shagari had decided to rename the National Arts Theatre to Mamman Shata Center for. Mamman Shata was prominent northern. Yeah. Imagine if any of the military administration had named, or General Babangida had named the National Arts Theatre as the Alhaji Dambaraya Jos Center. I'm not saying that Professor Soyinka is not deserving. That's not the point. The timing and the motive is what the issue is, or what the issues are. Imagine if President Goodluck Jonathan had named the National Arts Theatre Chinua Achebe Center for, or Gabriel Okara Center for. I'm not diminishing Professor Soyinka's achievement, no, not in any, but he was used. And I still think he should just, please say, I beg, okay, I made a mistake. Now, I know the National Arts Theatre very well. I have had individual events of my own there. I have attended events, organized by others there. There are many halls there. There's the main bowl. There are other banquet hall. There's a banquet hall. There are other halls. There's a foyer. There are so many. What's wrong with the national? Why are Nigerian leaders so interested in things that bring division instead of things that unite? The military that built it, why didn't they name it after somebody? If you have named, if you have said, okay, you renovated it, the money you used to renovate it, does it belong to you? No, to Nigerians. If you built a new center, and say you are naming it, nobody will question you. You built it. But that one, worst case scenario, if you named, and to balance things, so you can please don't play this politics. It's not helpful. We are seeing through the charade. Okay? You're making others feel that you are drawing hatred and attention to the Southwest. It's not, you're not being fair to the people of the Southwest at all. By your actions, Mr. President. What people are saying is that Yoruba is Yoruba. Yoruba who? And that's why I say Professor Soyinka is not, he's a man who has his own mind, but he's an old man now. So we can pardon him for taking certain decisions now in certain ways, but then he should still be who he has been. If he had named the banquet hall, Wale Soyinka, Professor Wale Soyinka Hall, Mama Chinua Achebe Hall, Mama Shata, Damraya Jones, Gabriel Okara, if you come, you see people who clap, but it's still the National Arts Theatre. It's the same reason that they have blocked. People have asked these questions here. The same reason for which they have blocked the creation of the state police, so that they can, from the center, decide what is going to happen. Military, police, and all of that. So, Professor Soyinka, please, sir, please, with all due respect, please write them, sir, and say, I made a mistake. I understand. I thank you for the gesture, but National Arts Theatre sounds better for the sake of Nigeria. The same way, a family member of his left Lagos State and went to Edo State to want to inaugurate market women. Please, how? How? How do you people reason? Now, I'm going to end the stream by answering the question, or by speaking to the question I asked at the beginning of this book. What should constitute national security threat? And I want you to paint a picture in your mind's eye. Just picture the chairman of Bodinga local government in Sokoto State. Let me go there. Yes, Bodinga local government in Sokoto State. So the chairman of that local government going to book a hall in Waldorf Astoria in Washington, D.C. and say that he's been mandated by whoever to investigate issues of white supremacy in the US. So he wants to, excuse me, excuse me. He wants to give his foundings. And in that speech, that statement, he names a national security advisor of the US as one of the persons that has invited him and names another clown, and they all sit there on the table. And he's speaking to the issues of national security of the US. It cannot happen. It's not possible. But it did happen in Nigeria. As I finished the live stream for last week, somebody sent me a document, a statement of released, authored by someone who is described as the former mayor of a small town in Texas, US, who claimed in that document, this is a published document, is theirs, who claimed in that document that he's there, the national security advisor of Nigeria. He mentioned him, I'm like, is this happening? And then somebody else is saying, no, mockery influencer. I don't know what influencing has to do with. I don't understand how we so elevate people who I don't know why anybody's listening to them about the issues of Nigeria. Reno Mokri that went to Chatham House prior to the election that brought the current president to power, protest, do all sorts. The video is still there online. Say all sorts about this same president. What's his relationship with this administration and this government? And this individual says he's been in Nigeria for, there's nothing wrong with, I've been in the civil society, I've been in development work for over 30 years. So there's nothing wrong with people going to help in places where there are issues and all of that. But, well, we know what happened in some of those places, in some of those instances. Some foreign government used some of those NGOs, non-governmental organizations, as spies, as whatever. Yeah, maybe that's what happened. I don't know. But then look at, please, connect the dots. This guy is from Texas. Go and check out the relationship, what happens within Texas, within the democracy of the US, as in Republicans and Democrats, voting maps and all of that, but voting rights. Go and check out what happens there. That's why this guy comes from. They didn't stop there. They didn't stop there. Listen. They didn't stop there. What's he doing? He wants to tell you Nigerians now that the problems you have is religious. You know there are religious colorations created by these same jazz shakers, but do you need a former small town mayor to come to tell you in Nigeria, quoting your national security advisor, holding that meeting and he held. Fella said, you saw it in the video, he sang, "This our own nation." The cabal is not a tribe, it's not a religion. The cabal is amorphous, it is international. They want to create an atmosphere of a religious conflict in Nigeria for whatever reasons. We know what we've been hearing about, what happened with Jonathan, what role the Obama administration played, and all of that. It's all there. And this person comes. Please, guys, can you put up the picture for the guy who in Nigeria. It is the one that's to tell you that, of course, the issues raised in that report are true. They are true, but then you don't need him. You don't need an outsider. No, no, no. That is a national security threat. That's danger. That's to tell you people something else are happening, are crystallizing. And then days after it, what happened? What is happening now? Okay? Stop keeping quiet. Please. Engage. Civil engagement. Talk. Demand for state police. This double standard is not helping. Our Nigerian military, go and read the books that have been written by some of the military officers that have worked in that northeastern region over this issue of insurgency. Go and read their stories. You will feel sorry for everybody to know that this is not an accident. And then somebody else now is coming, releasing a report that some other people are going to quote tomorrow. Of course, that's a reason for that gathering, to make it formal, to make it look. It's going to become a document that people are going to quote tomorrow as to the situation of things in Nigeria. Of course, we know that the conflicts that have been made to look religious, they are not. Look, I repeat again, I come from Ekiti State, southwest Nigeria. You hardly find any family in Ekiti that is not composed of Muslims and Christians. You hardly find any. They hold their ceremonies together. All the Muslim festivals, family hold, Christian imams go to church to celebrate with their Christian brothers, and the Christians go during Jummah to follow them. In the Southeast, that is predominantly Christian. I grew up, I saw herdsmen move around the villages free, but would not enter cultivated farmlands. I've shared this before. I saw, it's not stories told me, if perchance, if by accident, the livestock stray into people's cultivated land and damage, they will go and meet the village head. The owner of the farm might not even know what had happened. They would go by themselves to meet the village heads and make up. In most cases, is their milk, is something they'll give, they apologize. And everybody will go their way. And what did you see them walk around there with? Then with stick. Biggest bow and arrow. Today, the herdsmen have been armed, AK-47s and all sorts of heavy equipment. Heavy weaponry. And they are marauding, vandalizing, sacking communities, taking over. And Nigerians are in refugee camps that they've called IDP, through which those in government too, are also, it's a double whammy. More resources to take care of people they are not taking care of, who are refugees in their own country. More resource for the military to buy weapons, to whatever, to send people without the weapons to go and face people that they should drive away. Situations for which people, Nigerian leaders, have said, look, an attack on these people is an attack on us. So why does it now have to take a foreigner to come and tell you what you already know without you knowing that there's a gang up forming? Okay? And that, people, is our show today. Okay? It's a gang up. It's heating up. Rumor there was a coup, there was no coup. Well, Nigerians need to speak up. You need to speak up. You need to state clearly you want your country back. Be specific, be organized, be peaceful, because the excuse they want is for you to get violent so they can shoot you. Okay? Don't get violent. Be organized. Okay? So that's why I'm going to end this live stream for today. Thank you so very much for hanging here with us. I look forward to seeing you again on Friday. We're going to be talking an enemy of the state, corruption. And we'll talk more about what we know about the people in government now, who they have been. So why would they change? What change are you expecting? And those who have been fronting for them, where those people are now. We'll show you. Okay? So please join us next Friday on Say Prayer, guys. May Nigeria never happen to you. But our prayer on this live stream, on this podcast, is always, may Nigeria happen for all Nigerians and friends of Nigeria. So with that, I say bye-bye. See you in the next one next week.